Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another weekly wrap-up for Health Declassified. And this is for the week ending 11th of July, 2025. Wow, the year is slipping away from us, Kathleen. There's only a couple of hundred days, shopping days till Christmas, can you believe? Anyway, how frightening thought, right? Anyway, how are you today, Kathleen?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you. And thank you also very much for tuning in. We so appreciate having you. So thank you. Peter, would you like me to jump right into my article?
Dive right into it. Yep.
Okay, so today is something that I'd like to speak to you about. It is 7 types of magnesium and how they can improve your health. I
Hmm.
don't know. I know that you take magnesium, Peter, as
I
do
do.
I. I think well, it's important. I'll explain that. This is an article from Dr. Mercola's site, and we will provide a link to the full article below this video. I think you should have a to read it, but here are the highlights. So you need magnesium to survive. First point, it's involved in more than 600 chemical reactions in your body,
Wow.
including those that regulate your nerves, power your heart, and help you convert food into usable energy. So you could theoretically get enough magnesium from food, but in reality, only 30% to 40% of what you eat is actually absorbed. If left untreated, meaning if you have a magnesium deficiency, this deficiency can create bigger issues such as blood sugar dysregulation, insulin resistance, high
Hmm.
blood pressure, and mitochondrial dysfunction. So it's so important, right? So here are 7 types of magnesium that work differently. So you know how you go to a natural food store, Peter, and you look at the shelves and you see a
Hmm.
whole different bunch of magnesiums, and it's very confusing, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't know which one to take. So let me ream off some of these magnesiums and what you might want them for. So the first one is magnesium glycinate. It's for
Hmm.
calming. It's also gut friendly. So you know how magnesium can sometimes give you loose bowels. This doesn't do that. And it's best for sleep, stress, and muscle relaxation. The next one is magnesium malate. If
Hmm.
you're exhausted and experiencing muscle soreness or fibromyalgia-like pain, this is the form for you. Supports energy, focus, and muscle recovery. Magnesium taurate. This calms your nerves and supports your heart rhythm.
Ah, okay.
Magnesium L-threonate is for cognitive focus and brain delivery. In other words, it can cross the blood-brain barrier and help with brain fog and age-related cognitive decline.
Hmm.
So again, that was magnesium L-threonate. Magnesium citrate boosts the absorption and relieves constipation. Magnesium oxide is used for poor absorption but helps with indigestion.
Okay.
And then there's magnesium chloride, which is good for topical use, less and is less effective internally. So I think
Hmm.
it's maybe for pain management, like muscle soreness or something like that. So there you have it, 7 types of magnesium and how they can help improve your life. So there you go.
Oh, very good. And
Mhm.
and certainly I've been taking magnesium supplements for maybe a year.
Mhm.
And right from the time when I was doing a lot of running, when I did my marathon running years, I used to get bad cramps in my legs at night, in my calves. And in those days, no one was talking about magnesium supplements. And I would get them occasionally since I've been in Canada and no longer running, but also still quite active. And then sometimes I get them quite often, and my better half Sue would get even worse than me, cramp in her calf or her ankle or her toes. And
Mhm.
then we started taking magnesium a year ago, and I think I've had cramp maybe twice in the whole year, and not anywhere near as severe as it used to be. And
Right.
Sue's also finding, and we ran out the other day, and we didn't want to make a special trip to the health store. 2 days without magnesium, and she was getting cramp every night. So then we did make a special trip to the health store. That's anecdotal, and it's our experience. It might not be the same for everyone, and I'm not
Right.
I'm not for a moment suggesting that
Mm.
magnesium will solve everybody's cramp issues, but it's one of the indications that it does help. And certainly for us, it's been a huge relief not to have those terrible cramps at night. Yeah, so it's important. It's very
Yes,
important.
absolutely. And Peter, you
Mm.
had a health tip today that you wanted to
I
touch
have
on,
I have
right?
two that I found really interesting. I'll just go through them quickly.
Sure.
The first one is from Epoch Health, if I remember correctly, and we'll put the link in the description. And that was highlighting the dangers of using coffee pods in machines, right? Which is very, very popular and very convenient. But the reason that they are dangerous is that you can pick up traces of aluminum from the foil, or aluminium, as we would say back in the UK and Africa. You can pick up traces in the foil. You can pick up some toxic chemicals from the glue that's used to stick that foil onto the keg. You can pick up microplastics from the plastic pod itself, right? And we know that we've been talking about the dangers of microplastics. And you can pick up, forgive me, I can't remember the exact term. You can pick up something if the coffee had been ground and stored in that keg for too long under less than ideal conditions, it can have a less than healthy effect on your body from something in the coffee. And again, I can't remember the exact detail. And the problem with kegs is because you infuse it with hot water from the machine. That's how the machine works
Yes, we're
when it,
talking about K-cups and
yeah,
machines, Keurig.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's it. Because the foil is opened and the boiling water is put in and it stirs it around, the heat from the boiling water aggravates the effect or enhances the effect of all those things that might be harmful to you. So that's another reason why they are considered harmful. Again, that's a report that I read. Everyone needs to make up their own mind on these.
Yeah.
I don't use them. We don't have a coffee machine at all, and don't drink a lot of coffee at home anyway. It's not something I would use, even without the health considerations. For me, it's unnecessary use of plastic. That's what's put me off more than anything else. But everyone to their own.
But
The
you
other
can
one,
buy, just to jump in there, Peter, I think you
sure,
can buy, in fact, I have purchased them, compostable K-cups.
correct.
So,
So that could be a lot healthier then, if it's got, because if it's compostable, then there's no
mhm,
aluminum and no plastic in it, right? It'll
right.
be paper. Yeah, so
Right.
that's probably a healthy option, when you think
Hmm.
about it. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one. Well, thanks for reminding me, Kathleen. And then the other one that I picked up, and we've talked about DMSO before, but this is a different article, and I think this is from a Midwestern doctor who's a heart and cholesterol specialist, but also looking at DMSO. And I read an article of his where he's been researching the use of DMSO for eye, ear, and nose problems and other problems. And again, everyone needs to do their own research on this, but they are getting some surprising results using DMSO for all sorts of things, from macular degeneration to vitreous detachment, and more, even cataracts. There's some beneficial effects on cataract. Now, it's not FDA approved, and I'm just relating what I've read. So I'm not suggesting you run out and start putting DMSO in your eyes, because you need to do your own research. But it's interesting that these old remedies that used to be really popular are now coming back into fashion because people are worried about big pharma and all this. And it's also, if you read into it, interesting how a lot of these old remedies were suppressed, right? And we know the reasons for that.
Hmm.
As I've said before, I've used DMSO on horses. I was using it 30 years ago on horses for joint pain, and more recently started using it for my own pains, and that I find it really good as a natural pain reliever. So that's my little contribution to the health issue, Kathleen.
Right.
Now you've got a tip, you've got a product you want to talk about.
Yes, Peter. And actually, just talking about the DMSO, um, my hubby had ocular shingles several years ago.
Yeah.
And what they did was he didn't really, well, I mean, it was his choice. You have a choice, everybody. You all have a choice, but his choice was not to have the steroid that they were going to put into his eye.
Hmm.
And it was a very severe case. He could have lost his eye.
Wow.
But he went to see a naturopath, and the naturopath put him on an intravenous high dose cocktail of high vitamin C with DMSO because the DMSO helps your body absorb
That's
more
right.
readily what it other like the vitamin C would help them,
Hmm.
absorb it better. And do you know he got over the ocular shingles with that?
Yeah.
And today he has no scarring on the forehead where the shingles was. There's barely a scar on his cornea from it now. So when he goes
Wow.
to see up the optometrist, at first there was quite a bit of scarring and hardly any scarring. He's not even aware of it actually.
Isn't
So
that amazing, eh?
that was
Yeah.
done intravenously at the time. So just putting it out there. And today,
Well, this article talks about intravenous use of DMSO,
right.
and another one I found particularly interesting is they are finding that DMSO is helping people with Parkinson's disease,
Yes.
Parkinson's. So that's another interesting one. But could go on and on. It's a long article. We'll put a link in there, and you can make up your own minds about DMSO. I certainly find it good. Okay, Kathleen, go for your product recommendation.
Well, Peter, today I want to talk about the GI broom from Dr. Morse. Dr.
Hmm.
Morse has some wonderful products. They're all herbs encapsulated, and it's just they're wonderful. GI broom in particular is a powerful herbal laxative. No, your body does not become dependent on this. It's not like what you would get at the drugstore, where if you start taking them, your body just becomes dependent on them. This is an herbal formula. And it's also a lymphatic puller, so it helps to promote the removal of buildup, the sludge that gets trapped in your intestinal wall, and it helps to stimulate the flow of the lymphatic fluid in the gut lining. So it helps circulation of elimination. So there you go, GI
Mm.
Broom, and we will post
GI Broom.
GI Broom, we will post a link to this product. And if you put in, because we were the Yakking Show, as you know, we've rebranded to Health Declassified. But if you use Yakking Show in the code, you will get a discount on this product. So there you have it, Peter.
Great. Thanks, Kathleen. I'll put a reminder about that code in there as well.
Mhm.
Good. So let's talk about what happened on the Health Declassified show this week. Well, we had a guest interview episode published on Tuesday, and our guest was Elaine Uskoski, and she has become, through necessity, an expert on helping people overcome addiction to video gaming or online gaming of any form. Her son became addicted, and it really affected his life, and she went through it with him and she got him out of it. It was a long battle, but because of that, she's come up with ideas and protocols to help people who have a problem in their own family with video gaming.
Yeah.
She talks about things you should look for. She talks about ways to help them because outright confrontation or trying to cut them off from computers is not always successful and can have counter effects because they now feel they're being picked on. So she has a very, really good program to do it. And what I found was interesting, we asked her the question, is it an equal problem with young men and women or girls and boys? And she said, no, it's predominantly a problem with young men and boys.
Mhm.
Because, and I asked the reason, is it, what's the difference? She said, because girls and young women tend to play different types of video games. They play the virtual reality lifestyle, I don't know, artificial world type games, which is harder to become addicted to, whereas boys play the competitive ones where you try and get to different levels and this, that, and the next thing. She says the problem is that as time goes on, more girls are starting to play the same games as boys, so more girls are becoming addicted. And it's a really serious problem. I mean, she talks about the number of people and the percentage of youngsters who get addicted. It's quite frightening.
Mhm.
She also goes into the reasons why some youngsters will become addicted more easily than others. It's too long for me to go into all that. You need to watch that episode or listen to the episode to find out. And of course, it's a 21st century essentially problem because 25 years ago there was no online gaming,
Right.
right? So it just was not a problem.
Mhm.
A very interesting episode. Who's coming up next? Well, In 2 weeks' time, we'll have Dr. Ibru Zoglu, who is a skincare specialist. She is a doctor, and she's come up with a range of skincare products that are really good for looking after your skin. And she looks at it holistically as well. So a lot of the problems expressed in skin come from something else, not necessarily skin. It could be your diet or your general health. So she addresses the whole thing. That's a good one. And then the 2 weeks after that will be Susie Kundrat, and she helps you eat, move, and groove more effectively. And that translates into diet, exercise, and lifestyle. And she covers all three. And we found her quite fascinating, a very enjoyable episode. And following that up, 2 weeks after that will be Dr. Elliot Justin, who has come up with a device to help men perform better, and I won't go into too much detail at the moment. We'll give you another little hint of what that's about in our next weekly wrap up. But it's also a really interesting one, and he's getting good results and helping lots of people have happier lives in certain parts of their lives. Let's put it that way. Our featured author this week is our guest from Tuesday, Elaine Uskoski, and she has written 2 books, and the second book is called Cyber Sober: A Caregiver's Guide to Video Gaming Addiction, and it offers practical advice for caregivers, warning signs to look out for, and strategies for navigating this growing digital health concern. So there'll be a link to that in the description and in our newsletter this week. Very good book. If you're concerned about members of your family or someone you know, it's an ideal book to read. But again, watch the episode. That's our featured author. We've got a long list of really good guests coming up over the next couple of months, some we haven't mentioned yet. So to make sure you don't miss out, hop onto the website, healthdeclassified.com, and sign up for our newsletter. We just send you one email a week, and then you're in the picture. And from me, that's it. It's back to you, Kathleen.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next week, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.